I'll second the motion.
Take a vote, Rich?
Aye.
Maria? Aye. Bob?
Aye.
Me? Aye.
And I have a question, what do you think the hours of operations for these tenants would be on this site here?
I would say standard 9 to 5. I think one of the tenants is actually in one of his other buildings. This is a lawn care facility called Lawn Doctor. They just want more space. So I think that operation is just 9 to 5. It's just like mostly consumer based, I guess more heavy industrial type projects.
The only business that would concern me there is something that operated 24/7 with tow truck setup. Even though tow trucks do roll in there pretty much around the clock now, the addition of another towing business might be a little bit more than the neighborhood can handle.
Okay, yeah.
So that would be a minor concern, again, because they're there already, but I don't know that we want to block it, because that would be ridiculous, because they need them for the existing repair shops, but
Yeah.
I don't know how we reward that.
You could suggest some mitigation measures that would ease your concerns on that, if there are any. And make them look into whether it can accommodate with those recommendations or possibly with other ideas.
Just as a comment, for all intents and purposes, the tenants have not been decided upon. Those are just like initial conceptual tenants that we came up with a year and a half ago. So I don't, that's not like a solidified action. Just, those are some conceptual ideas at the beginning.
Well, that moves us to, I would say, possible mitigation of that is a concern is screening on the project, which is one of the comments.
Your board will have review of landscaping and lighting. The landscaping, you have a lot of flexibility in requiring screening here. So as we move forward, you can look more at that.
Yeah, the client's super into landscaping. He's like all into that. So
You have a lot of green in there, it looks,
Yeah.
so.
there's 12 trees that are all basically on that swoop in. So once those are developed, you shouldn't really see much. Not that the buildings are going to be ugly or anything, but we could definitely put more stuff in.
But also, as far as mitigation under for seeker purposes, they can limit the hours of operation, or they can limit the hours of like a 24/7 operation to one of the businesses.
What, it's a special permit, so you can actually make any
Yeah.
conditions you want.
So that's something that
You
you want to
don't wanna-
propose.
You just want to be careful what you,
I want to think on that one a little
Yeah,
bit.
no problem.
And again, because there was a tenant there, I do know that the body shops and the other shops have worked late into the night and have received complaints from the neighbors across so I know that has happened. But, maybe they're different neighbors now, maybe it's not a concern now, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess a comment I would have with that is like
have you had any complaints lately?
No, haven't had any
limiting
complaint.
the hours of these proposed buildings would thus limit the hours of the existing buildings, which I don't know if that's the intent, because they're on the same lot.
You could establish working hours, which if they want to deviate based on a future tenant, it could be a one appearance meeting to change it, to allow that tenant to work beyond a 9 o'clock limit, and that particular use can go until 2 in the morning.
May I just reiterate a little bit something, or amplify, or add to? I've been here almost 2 years, I haven't had a complaint yet. So not just lately, but ever. Okay.
All right, so that's something we can discuss as we go forward. And then additionally, the lighting, you'll be able to look at that. They're showing a lot of lighting around the 2 new buildings now.
I mean, we could limit that in any capacity. It's just like, this is more conceptual.
You know, whether you need lighting in the back along the stream or not, where you do have residences that are gonna see that in the back of the building. I don't know if you wanted a security lighting or.
Yeah, the intention was the ones in the back are, just, the actual buildings have a door in the back. think they have a door in each, I think they have doors on all the sides, so they would just be more like, you know, I mean, I don't know exactly what.
Okay, you have walkways or something back there then?
No, this area, this is just all gonna be grass, this is gonna be that rain garden. And I think there's a door over here and a door over here, so. This is not like a developed area, it's just grass. So it's more just to accommodate the fact that there's a door in the buildings.
If nothing that needs to be decided tonight, just bring it up as something you will be considering.
So could you say, like, for that side that faces the river, instead of having the light go out, can it be light that just comes down?
Yeah, for sure. We could change those to just like a sconce, just to be coordinated with the doorway as opposed to, you know, lighting up the whole building.
There's currently nothing shown for the buildings in the front. Before we make Nick do an extensive study of it, you could just drive by at night and see if it currently looks good to you. If so, you can leave it alone. If you'd like improvements, then we could look at asking for something.
Yeah. We were just kind of trying to stay away from adding parking lights. That's why the building lights, two of the lights in particular are wall-mounted lights of a higher lumen capacity, so basically this orange one and this one, basically covering these sections so that we don't have to install big parking lights for that reason. Just because there's a common area in this, you know what I mean? This is the common area. So we don't really need to be all the way out here with lights if we could just cover it from the buildings. That was the intent, I guess.
He's got me any of them.
Okay, since we're referring it to the village board, it's gonna have to be, and they have a decision to make in the project. It's gonna have to be a coordinated review under SECRA. So I would suggest at this time to make a motion to authorize to send out or distribute the notice of intent for lead agency. And that way, when the village board gets the referral, they'll also see that SECRA has started and their decision will have to be part of the SECRA process.
And how many days is that again, the secret process?
For the notice of intent, meaning,
Yeah,
so there's so once I send it out, that any agencies have 30 days to get back to me, but Nick and I can coordinate on the list of agencies that he feels is proper to send to. Usually we oversend,
Yeah.
like really oversend.
Better to notice.
So I would suggest doing that at this time also to move it along, because the plans really are, they're
Very
detailed
well
at this
developed.
point, so.
All right, so we can make a motion that we try and the lead agency for this project.
Anyone second that?
Motion.
Okay, take a vote, Rich?
Aye.
Maria? Aye. Bob?
Aye.
Aye.
I will say, I do like how the buildings look.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's a good fit for that area, and John's put a lot of effort into the buildings over the years, his existing buildings.
Yeah, he really has, I mean,
Yeah, and when he took the existing buildings over, he put money into to improve them.
yeah, I think it's all in conjunction with, that particular area is very industrial type, you know. The fact that these buildings are gonna kind of match, Orange County Transmissions and Sanford Fitness makes it kind of, I think the church looks exactly the same too. So it's kind of in keeping with that. I think that was part of the intent. I didn't actually design the buildings. They're like a prefab modular pole barn building. But one of the benefits of that construction as well is I believe they can put them up in like a week. Like they just come in with a crew and the buildings are up like super quick. They're not very complicated. Finishing them obviously takes a little longer, but once the site plan and the grading is complete, I'm pretty sure they do it in like a week, 2 weeks.
Then I have another question, I don't know if you'll start out before. With these different businesses back here, you think one dumpster would be enough for them? And how often will they have to come empty those dumpsters?
I think it'll be enough. These two buildings over here actually have one dumpster, it's like right here. And that gets emptied, I guess weekly. That was kind of the same concept with these, just matching that.
You do have a plan somewhere that shows that.
Yeah, I have a dumpster enclosure.
Bradley has a big pile / 20-yard dumpster for his auto body parts too.
This is also in keeping with the other property at 5 Locust Street. They have, I think, one dumpster, maybe just a detail of the dumpster, just a standard dumpster enclosure. But we can make it wider to accommodate additional dumpsters or whatever. I think this is just to accommodate 2 or 1. I think if that's a concern.
We do like them fenced in or locked in or something.
Yes, this is the detail for that, it's all fenced in.
Okay.
You think it would be feasible to double that?
Yeah, we could make it twice as wide, or put an additional one.
Depending on what goes in there, you may want room for a recyclable cardboard or something dumpster.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, just have the normal waste
Bradley
dumpster,
says a
cardboard
cardboard
next to it.
and a waste dumpster.
Yeah, we could definitely put maybe one over here. That was my alternative idea. Those are pretty simple though. They're just like posts.
Very, very complete submission.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Awesome, it's taken a while.
Any questions, comments? No, I'm good.
We're good?
Great, thank you so much for
Thank you.
presenting.
Thank you very much, I appreciate your time.
Ready to adjourn?
Do we have anything else to discuss? Stephanie, John?
Almost that, I'm gonna
Oh,
draft the notice of intent in coordination with the
looking
applicant.
after the thing with the meeting times, the 5 days, that.
Right, so my question about deadline submission for the
Oh, okay.
applicants.
Sure.
What is the actual deadline in our policy? Is it 10 calendar days? Or is it 10 business?
I think it was just 10 days. I don't
So
think
if
it
it's
was.
10 days, that 10th day falls on a Saturday,
Hmm.
which is 4 days after the meeting where we're telling them to get new things together. So my thought was, it's kind of not fair to only give them, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 3 working days.
Mhm.
So my suggestion or, topic of conversation was to give them 7 days, which gives them a week. 7 days from the meeting where we're asking them to submit new information.
So essentially switching, I don't even think it was 10 days, I think it was 14, I think it was
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So if the board feels that it's fair, a week.
I'm just thinking,
I
I'd
think-
like to provide a speedy process for the applicant.
I would say in the area, I think it varies from a week to 2 weeks, so a week wouldn't be completely like outrageous or out of the ordinary. So I think that would be fine if the board wants to make that their policy.
Right, I mean, I think otherwise sometimes if they can't turn it around in 3 days, then it's every month.
Really, the biggest issue is Stephanie and I having a chance to go
review.
through it.
Yeah.
Most applications, getting them done in a week is not an issue.
Right.
So if you want to make the policy 1 week, that's fine.
Subject to.
At the worst,
consultants.
we have a night where there's 10 applicants or a huge submission.
Right,
It may not be 100% complete on the review.
okay.
But you, and I'll, I mean, you don't have to put all 10 on the agenda also. Like, you
Right.
can if we were to get really busy.
Right.
Um,
But for you both and John, 7 days in theory would be realistic to comment, so long as there
I
Flood.
would say,
Yeah,
I would say
if
a
you're-
shot,
If you're gonna set a new policy, I would ask that they initially submit PDF copies as well.
okay,
John.
Which I've been sending to everybody. It works out pretty good, I
Yes,
think.
John
yeah.
usually has to follow up and
Mhm.
get them, so we lose a couple days there, but if he gets them right away, he can distribute them right
so
away.
then really the idea then for the applicant, they must submit at least a PDF file of whatever they're
Really?
submitting.
really, I think the issue is that the applicants need to themselves make sure that the submission a week before it gets to the village engineer. Because for him to wait to get it from John is kind of silly in my opinion, like it's an extra step, it doesn't need to be.
So then we make sure they at least
Well,
copy everybody.
I submit them generally right away. to everybody.
I know, but
And-
I'm just saying, like,
Yeah,
If we- if
but
we're
you-
short-
if they're sending an
time.
email
Yeah,
anyway,
In other words, you could be out on an inspection or something, and at the end of the day, and something shows up, and then you lose a day. You know,
That's
not
true,
to slide
yeah,
it,
okay, that's a
just-
good idea, yeah,
So we could
okay.
ask that they're sent to both,
You can
Why not?
send it
Just an
to
email.
John and copy me,
right?
and then we both get it.
Makes sense,
I,
yeah.
right, exactly, that's my point. I would suggest we should probably, we can write something up,
Mhm.
and ask trustee Sampson if we can put it on the website.
And then
I'm not sure the
include that
planning
in
board has its
future
own section.
applications.
Right. I think the planning board has its own webpage portion,
Yeah.
which is like, and it's like, okay, it would be helpful if it could be there.
The only, if I may say that, I don't know yet, if you put the emails on the website, you might get a lot of unwanted
No,
attention,
just the chairwoman, and, I mean, you could put mine's already public.
Okay, so someone has to make a decision on that then, so, okay.
Yours?
Just don't want everybody to,
Website? Would you want it on the website?
I don't have a problem with it being there.
Okay,
I don't know that it is yet.
People can find me anyway,
okay.
Just
So
so-
then,
to avoid crackpotism, you know, that's the proper term.
I don't think that is.
No, okay, but you get all these people writing you and everything that you really should come to the hearings and ask questions if they're gonna do that, you know.
okay.
I made up a new word.
The proposed change would be to allow the applicant 7-day deadline prior to the next meeting to submit PDF documents as well as hard copies if needed, but must be at least PDF 7 days before the upcoming meeting, and emailed to our building inspector, John Terry, and our engineer at least on that day, so that they can be reviewed in a timely manner and then distributed to the board
It's
members.
reasonable, yeah.
Does anybody have any objections or comments?
Good.
Do we need to make a motion to approve that, Stephanie?
Yes.
Would somebody like to make a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the new timeline for submissions.
Anyone want to second that?
I second that.
Rich?
Aye.
Maria? Aye. Bob?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Thank you. Any other comments before we adjourn? 7:53.
Motion to adjourn?